Just start facing the Concorde, it's better looking than me.
Okay, it should be on.
I love how we said it's an Avro walkaround and we're starting off in front of the Concorde.
Wait, let's see if anyone goes, hang on.
Hey, that's not a Avro.
It's the A38 used to.
We'll let a few people get in the old chat and then we'll crack on, guys. 7.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not paying that. Sorry. Come on, £16. Yeah, it's go £3 billion. No.
That's alright, isn't it?
It is. She working?
Right.
Are we ready? Are we cooking on gas? Right, ladies and gents, short stream today. We're not doing a big show. As we mentioned on the big show last week, this weekend we're taking it off. We've got something going on behind the scenes, which is why we're not live this week. But we are doing a very quick look around the RJX at the RVP. So we're going to go and have a quick look at that shortly. There's a flight test engineer on site. He's going to talk us around. It's all open. The lights are on. Everything like that. There's loads of good stuff. Even the engines are open as well for us to go and have a look at. So we'll head over there in a minute. Brownbill's going to show you a couple of shots of Concorde just while we're in the hangar. This is now a walkthrough that you can do at the RVP. So obviously it's like a little taster before you come and do the full tour. And she's a stunner. Obviously we've done a lot of footage with Concorde in the past on the channel, but we're going to be doing a lot more in the very near future, guys, including a walk around as well ourselves. We don't have time to do that today, unfortunately, but yeah, we'll do one very, very soon. But believe quite a few people in the chat saying the A380 is either touching down or is very nearly touched down. So should we have a wander outside and see if we can catch it while we're on our way down to the RJX? And we'll just show you through, guys, as well. If you've not been here, you could be sort of forgiven for missing the RJX because it's right down at the very back of the RVP. So we'll just go through the Aviation Society shop here as well. Loads of fantastic stuff on, as well as these TAS hats, ladies and gents, on that shelf over there. Go and get yourself one. Got Alison behind the counter. We won't show her on camera just in case, but there she is, looking after things. Hey, what are you seeing? What's Brownbill buying? Oh, our favourite Livy on the channel. Sunwing.
Sunwing hybrid.
Let's go. That's not an A380. So yeah, as I was saying, you can be forgiven for kind of missing the RJX at the RVP. So you need to come right past the cafe and then we're going to turn right and it's right down the end near where all the kiddies play area and the slide and everything is. A380's touching down.
No way. Stand on a rock.
We know things by arse on Airliners Live, do you? And it's a blue livery as well. No, not anymore. I was, but I'm not now.
It's my camera then.
There he is, stand up on the rock.
Let's get a clip of this.
There we go, it's not the orange one today, we got the blue one.
Good time in that, wasn't it?
It was, very good.
Almost like we planned it.
Matty boy, how are you doing? Nice to see you in the chat. Diego, hello. Kevin. Just live on YouTube today, yes, because it's only a short stream, guys, maybe 20 minutes. Maybe a little bit longer, maybe we can stretch it to half an hour. We'll see how much is going on, but yeah, quite a short stream today.
We're actually made not that far away. Built a place called Roseland in North Wales, just over the border.
My chat figure isn't updating, it still says there's 7, but there's definitely a lot more than that in here.
Yeah, it was 160 last time I checked.
Oh, was there?
Appointed in France, and then they would take
But here she is, guys, RJX. You can just see it as we're coming down, so it's right down the very end. Morning, Dad, in the chat. Saw your picture. Nice one. Right, next up, Brown Bill's going to get on the bouncy castle and get you this A380.
Get some footage this
Hey, should we quickly nip down here?
Yeah, that's not
We'll get it taxiing on a completely different view than what we normally would, guys. Keep the camera this way, Brown Bill. Just as we walk past all the kids' play area and that. Here she comes. There we go.
What a view.
We are here for the RJX, I promise. Hey up, Jake. How you doing? Miss Airliners Live's in the chat, hello.
You up against the fence?
Turkish 330 just blasted off. This is a different view, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even got a wave as well. Look at this, right over the fence. Mega.
You have to duck your head when it goes
I was going to say, it's right close to you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's awesome. Awesome. There we go. I'll go this side of you just to avoid that camera angle. There we go. Right, so we've not actually made an appointment with these guys. They know we're coming, but we'll just kind of show up and make things work. I can see Peter's over here as well, so he should be able to tell us a bit about what's going on today. So we'll go and grab him before he leaves. Hello. There he is. Have his attention. There he is. We're going to collar him. We're going to grab him. We're going to surprise him.
Hello.
Peter Hampton. Here he is, ladies and gents. The man behind the hut, the aviation tower. Here he is from the Aviation Society, and we're here at the RJX. What's going on, Peter?
Okay, so what's going on today is an open day in celebration of Avro regional jets, and specifically for us here at the park, the RJX, of course. So very good day. Lots of people are coming to see the aeroplane. It's the 20th anniversary this month of the first flight of the Avro RJX, and the 40th anniversary of its predecessors, the BAE 146 aircraft. Both fantastic regional jets, long service, and of course most of them built at Woodford, just a few miles away from here.
Not far away at all, is it?
Yeah.
So how did this one get here, and what's the kind of history behind this specific aircraft then?
Okay, you may know that, hence the reason you've collared me to talk to you about it. Okay, so the shortened version is as follows. When we opened the runway visitor park here at Manchester Airport, we went on the lookout for aeroplanes to have as static exhibits. I went over to Woodford thinking of trying to acquire an Avro ATP or even a Jetstream, which was there at the time. As I was walking through the hangar, and I was with the manager of the production at Woodford at the time, and this very aeroplane was there, looking all sparkly inside, and I jokingly said to him, I don't suppose there's any chance of getting that one, is there? And of course at that moment in time they're about to enter into production, hopefully sell a lot of them around the world, and it was worth millions.
Yeah.
So the bottom line was, he said, no, of course not. And but then he also said, but you never know. So I completed the visit of Woodford, didn't find an aeroplane, and a few months later I got a phone call, and he said, you inquired about the Avro RJX, would you really like it? And I said, of course we would. Well, he said, we're going to stop production of the aeroplane, it's not going to go ahead, and it could well be yours. And the rest, as they say, is history.
And here it is.
Here it is, yeah.
Here it
so
is.
there
It's
you
all
go.
open. We're able to have a look around. I believe there's a flight test engineer on
Yes,
board.
indeed
as well.
there is. The guy, in fact, who was on board it when it actually flew in.
Right,
And
okay.
he was involved. There's many people here that are ex-Avro at Woodford, and the gentleman you're talking about is at the rear of the aircraft at the moment, chatting to lots of people there.
Yeah.
And you'll easily recognise him. I'm not going to
will.
say why,
Okay.
but he will be recognisable when you get there.
Okay.
Lovely chap.
We're going to have a chat with him. Nice one, Peter.
Okay,
We'll have a look
good to
around.
see you.
Take it easy,
Take
mate.
care.
We'll speak to you soon.
Keep up the good work, guys, as always. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Right, here we are then. Let's have a quick look around. What I want to do is maybe not show too much of this without someone talking us around, just so that we do it the justice it deserves, basically. So I think what we'll do, we'll head straight to the back, go and find the guy we need to speak to, and then we'll come back out. Do you reckon, yeah? Okay, okay.
I like the reg.
Yeah. Look at this.
I look at an APU.
Lovely. Some good stuff going on. So I've never actually been on board this. I don't know, have you, Andy?
Once, yeah. I
You've
went
been on it?
But they only had like a little portion of it open when I went on, so it looks like they've got the whole thing open now.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it looks really good. Watch your feet. Here we are. Debbie,
What are you doing here?
what are we doing here? Hiya. Debbie from the Aviation Society. Say hello, everyone's watching.
Hello, how's it? Nice to see everybody virtually.
You'll recognise her from the aviation commentary that we have on the big shows. One of the main commentators, usually alongside Pete, who we just spoke to as well. But yeah, we're going to try and collar one of the gents here if possible.
Yeah, I'd also think it would be worth you going on the flight deck because you've got lots of things that lit up.
Mega.
So I'll go and get Mark, okay?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, excellent.
So,
Should we wait for Mark or?
yeah, I'll just go grab him.
Yeah, awesome.
So
Thanks.
just been on the flight deck, it's all locked up still.
Like Brown will get a few shots of this while we just make some arrangements. It won't be a second.
Look, very comfy seats then, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
We actually have Liz here as well with us
Hello.
today. Do you want to hold the mic and have a talk?
Don't know.
Trying to see who's available.
Yeah,
Don't know what you want me to say. They do look like really comfy seats, though.
they do. Good have a
Don't,
sit.
don't make them like they used to, do they? Oh! Don't be reclining your seat on me.
Is there much leg room?
There is actually.
I mean, Liz's legs look pretty
I'm not the
pressed
comfy.
against.
Yeah.
Am I in first class?
I got the overhead bins as well. You're in 13. 13, eh?
Oh!
Not a lucky number.
No wonder my legs don't fit properly.
They're really like so. Here they've got this sort of panel still here.
Yeah, so one half open, and the other one's still
And you can see the brake where it's, you can see now the skin of the aircraft here.
So we're just waiting, ladies and gents, for our guide, I guess is the correct word for it. But as I say, there is no live show today, unfortunately, but we are doing a bit of a walk around, and then we're actually going to be making some improvements today to the big show, but they are kind of behind the scenes improvements, I guess. They're not really things that you would see from a user point of view, but yeah, no, we're doing some work today rather than going live, guys. So yeah, I know. I mean, I wonder if it's like maybe it's just a
standing class.
just to keep people from hitting their heads, I guess.
Yeah, it's been really well preserved. Yes, you can see all the seats are still in here. Parts of the inner skin as well, and as well as like the actual body as well, looking really clean as well.
Yeah, you can tell a lot of work's been put into it.
So with that sort of classic original green colour to it, that aircraft come out of the factory, and you know, before they get painted, they sort of come out in this colour.
Yeah, so we've noticed that on quite a few of the aviation tags. They have sometimes that green backing on them, which is obviously this kind of, is it like a specific coat that they put on the metal? Have a look at the toilet.
And I was just looking at that.
Go on then.
Is that a toilet or is that a...
It is, looks like the bathroom, doesn't it?
Very small, doesn't it?
There it is.
Don't have a stand in it. See how big it is.
There we are. Tell you what, shut the door. No, it's quite cramped, isn't it?
Gotta sit down.
Sit down. There you go. People walking on and off while I'm sat on the toilet. Only professional airlines.
Bit of privacy, please.
Can't even shut the door.
Let's pay extra for that.
So, looks like they are going to open up the flight deck as well, ladies and gents, so we should be able to get a view inside, and they've also managed to get it lighting up quite a lot as well quite recently, so we're going to be able to see all of that. I did notice when we came in that I think the beacon's on the aircraft as we were coming in, which is quite smart. So, sorry guys for the delay, we're just waiting now. So look who's in the chat. Diego, thank you very much for the $2.50 super chat, appreciate it. So look, Kevin Henry, nice to see you. Jake Jackson, hello. Mohammed, nice to see you. We will ask that question to our guide when he comes on very quickly. Simon saying, yeah, the seats are heavy, very heavy. Miss a BA, yeah, it's not something you see very often now, is it?
The only one you'll ever see at Manchester these days is that Jota, isn't it? Jota Airlines.
Yeah.
That's a private charter airline.
I don't know what it was, but it was definitely one like, you know, with like the 4 engines, like a little plane.
Okay.
But I can't, it was so long ago.
Have you seen how the reverse works on this? The whole rear of the aircraft's kind of tail end just basically splits open like that.
Right.
So that's how it comes in, and it just opens up, and that's.
I don't think I've ever noticed that. I'd have to look at the footage from.
There's quite a major video from London City where it's coming in, and for some reason that's open on approach, and it just basically whacks the floor, and with quite a thud, I must admit. So yeah, it's quite a sight to see. It's kind of like you know the biz jets where the engines open up. It's like that, but on the back of the aircraft, which is pretty crazy. The Lancaster was up yesterday, returning to Coningsby after some work at Duxford. Yeah, only a brief show today, Matt. Yeah. See what's going on. Sergio tuning in from Italy. Welcome to you, mate. I think we're next in the queue, guys, hopefully. Here he comes. Here's the main man now. Chris Bevans at London Heathrow today doing some plane spotting. Yeah, that's right, Simon. Yeah, it's a break. Graham Thompson, welcome to you. What did I just see? It's me sat on the toilet in the Avro RJX. A very clip-worthy moment on Airliners Live for sure.
Hit them scissors button.
Don't. You get banned. What down here? Oh, this music's not copyright.
It sounds pretty stock.
I've been told that no one's yet.
Do you have a chat with these and see what?
Yeah, I'm going to try and butt in, I think, because I think we've been patient. No, just 1 second, just grab that.
Martin's going to have a chat with the engineers here at the RJX. This is at the runway visitor park, guys. If you missed the start, it's just behind the Concorde hangar. And you usually can go inside this. I don't know if you can go inside to this degree, though. Because last time I came here, you could only go in the front, and it was kind of like the front kind of cabin area. You could see inside the flight deck from there, get loads of pictures and that, but you couldn't come back here. Today's a special day where they're opening it up. It's an Avro special at the RVP, so it allows you to come in and have a chat with the team and all that. They've got a little sort of tour set up. It seems like every Sunday here at the runway visitor park there is something on. There's always like some car show or some airport show. A couple of weeks ago we seen the fire truck display, which was awesome.
Okay, ladies and gents, so we'll introduce you to Derek now. He's going to open up the flight deck for us, so we'll go and have a quick look around. He's going to talk us through what's going on and also a bit about the aircraft and obviously what's going on outside as well, and the work that's been done to restore the aircraft. Nice one, Derek. Nice to meet you. Welcome to Airliners Live. Do you want to introduce yourself, let people know what you do around here and what work's been done on the aircraft then?
Yeah, I'm Derek Ferguson. I was a flight test engineer. I was a flight test engineer on this airplane. My signature is rather faded up there because I was on board the airplane when it arrived here in 2003. It was. Yeah, so we're here today because it's the 20th anniversary of this particular aircraft flying, September 2001. This one first flew. I shall step into the flight deck.
Off you go. I'll give you the microphone, Brown Bill, so it's going to be a bit of a squeeze in there.
Yeah, that's right. Turn the speaker off. So this is the flight deck of the RJX. We've got we're starting to put some power on it. We've got some power set up at the battery level, which we've managed to put together, so we can get some of the instruments working, engine instruments at the moment. We don't have any EFIS displays because they're coming from a different power supply, which we haven't got access to, but everything in the flight deck is pretty much intact and works as well. We can get a fire test, we can get that working, and so we can get all the flashing lights going, so we can get in red lights. So some of the things on the aircraft are working quite well, and I think the windscreen wipers work as well, but I won't turn them on because it's not raining at the moment. So yeah, so that's the flight deck, as I say, is pretty much complete. It was a test airplane, this, so there's bits and pieces on the aircraft that were part of the test equipment that wouldn't be seen on a normal aircraft. But you know, the flight deck is intact.
So what sort of work has been happening recently to preserve the flight deck side of this?
It's basically just keeping it clean, keeping it tidy, making sure there's no water leaks, because we've opened the windows on days like this, but yeah, it can get busy with condensation, and we tend not to have it open to the public because it needs to be supervised, because it is quite a tight space, as you can see. But yeah, we've been trying to get things working. We've managed to get the radios working. We can pick up some bits on the VOR frequency. We can pick up bits and pieces. You know, so we can do bits and pieces like that. And the plan is to try and get more and more of the electrics working, so we can we can see more of the instruments.
And is there anything you're actively working on at the moment that's in progress?
Not at the moment, no, not within the flight deck. We've just been keeping it clean and nice, that's all. And it is in pretty good condition considering it's been sitting here for such a long time, but yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So sort of 18 years it's been here for now, and it still looks really good, Nick.
It does. It still looks pretty new, really. I mean, some of the things are, and we've been lucky enough to get donations from various people about some of the panels that we were missing, so we can fit other bits and pieces as well. But as I say, all these, you know, they're all. The aircraft itself, of course, didn't fly that often. It only flew about 90 times in total, so it's quite new as far as an aircraft is. So that's why everything looks sort of quite shiny and new, because it didn't do that many flights, and the flights themselves were test flights, so it was testing, you know, the handling, the performance, and the systems in the aircraft.
That's amazing. That'll do, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might grab a quick picture.
Yeah.
Channel. And then we'll do.
Yeah, go ahead. Liz. So there you go, there's the flight deck for the Avro RJX. It's a test aircraft this, but as you can see, the flight deck is still really, really clean. Liz just getting a photo there. Really, really good nick as well, the flight deck.
Yeah, well, look at people just looking for a minute, so you have to come wait out a minute. Split into your first part, you need to slow it down.
So there's the black box there. Never know why it's called the black box. It's very not black. There's one of the safety cards there as well from the Avro RJX.
Right.
So we'll follow you, I guess. Whatever you want to show us.
Okay. We'll go
head backwards.
We'll go backwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
All
go
right. Let's do that.
if we may.
No worries.
When the aircraft first arrived here, we made sure it was, you know, accessible to the public as well. So normally this would be closed off so that the public can access this part of the aircraft. But today we've opened it all up so that we can see all the way through it.
Yeah.
So this is part of the instrumentation that was fitted to because it was a test airplane when it was flying. It was designed as a passenger airplane eventually after it was finished, after we were finished testing it. And then our famous video. Okay, and then further back what we have done with this airplane is we've fitted some seats and some overhead bins and various things to show people what the aircraft actually looks like when it's.
And would this have been like a default configuration for you? Because it seems there's quite a lot of leg room for such a small plane.
No, it's not a real configuration, if you like. We got hold of a set of seats. We got the bins now and from a RJ that was being scrapped.
Yeah.
And we fitted them just roughly where they would go. But it's just to show people that this is what airplanes look like inside, underneath the bit that they normally see, which is that bit there.
Yeah. Amazing. No, it looks awesome, mate. You've done a great job on it.
Yeah. And keep the carpets vacuumed. So one of the things that was part of the test instrumentation kit was this thing, and there's also another one of these at the front. And what we used to do was pump water between the two tanks to change the CG in flight. Okay. Because obviously it's to replicate, because it's a test airplane, you can't do have a full load of passengers, so it replicates things like everybody going to the toilet at once, that kind of thing. So we could move the centre of gravity from quite a way actually, because we could fill this one up, that one would be empty, and then if we wanted a more forward centre of gravity for the aircraft, we can pump it all. So, and that was all controlled from what I used to do was the flight testing engineer. That was controlled from the front.
Okay. And how sort of far did you go with the imbalance on the testing?
It was always within the envelope, within the test envelope. But and we also used to put ballast in the aircraft to replicate the heavier weight. So we put, it was like lead blocks and blocks of stones and things that we used to put down the in the freight bays as well. So to replicate the heaviest possible weights.
Yeah.
You know.
And an aircraft of this size, obviously, people are noticing it's got 4 engines.
Mm-hmm.
Is it an extremely powerful aircraft, or are the engines not very?
The RJX was much more powerful than the other one, so it was give a bit better performance. But where it was better was at higher altitude. It could reach higher altitudes quicker, and it could reach higher altitudes, you know, for a more sustained period. You know, that was the advantage behind it.
There you go, amazing.
Right.
Let's wander outside then, shall we? Let's head round, Bill. Afternoon, Steve. Nice to see you in the chat. Thank you, mate.
Normally these steps are at the front, but for today we've moved them down the back, and we've shoved out the aircraft's own air stairs, so to let people walk all the way through. So there's the air brakes. We'll open those. They're normally they're open for approach and landing, but there they are.
Yeah, so that's something I've seen on a couple of videos, is those air brakes will actually be out while the aircraft's on short final sometimes.
Yeah.
Is that?
That's right. Yeah, they come out when, usually about 500 feet, you put the air brakes out.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it's the same lever as on that holds the air brakes that does the lift dump as well, which is on top of the wings.
Yeah.
So what happens there is that the lever goes to the air brake and then again through to the lift dump. Although this, with being an RJ, would have automatic lift dump. So
and what's the reason for the air brake being out while it's on the approach? Because you'd think that would be an error, wouldn't you?
You do, but what you do get is a slightly higher thrust setting, which means that for go around, if you need to go around, you're halfway there kind of thing to get the power ready.
And is that due to the time the engines take to perform, or?
Yeah, and what happens with the go around when the thrust lever goes forward, the air brakes close automatically as well.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
that's cool. I didn't know that.
But you can use the air brakes at all times. They can be used, you know, for descent.
To give you a steeper descent angle as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So they must have some serious hydraulic power then to keep them open.
You can see that there's the hydraulic ram in there that opens both bits.
Yeah.
To the same extent.
Yeah, I bet there's some serious force trying to push that back in, isn't there?
Yeah, they don't open, depending on how fast the aircraft's going, it depends on the angle that they open. So obviously the faster the airplane's going, they don't open fully.
Okay.
Because it's too much.
And is that sort of relative to the position of the lever, or is the lever can get pulled out and then?
The lever's infinitely variable, if you like. So you can just crack it open a little bit, and these will open a little bit, or fully open it, and they'll come open fully.
Okay.
And then there's a bit of a structure there just to get the wee light on at the end.
Oh right, so that for?
Just what that's for, yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's quite a unique design, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the Fokker 100 I think had a similar air brake, but most airliners have their air brakes on the their speed brakes are on the wings rather than on the tail like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these are hydraulically operated as well as the rudders. The only control surface on the airplane that is hydraulic. The rest of it's sort of manually controlled, whereas the rudder is hydraulic.
Yeah, huge, isn't it? A lot.
It does. Yeah, it does seem quite big at the moment. So yeah, it does when you stand underneath it.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah, but the elevators themselves are actually free floating. They can move around in the wind and do. As you can see. Yeah, they actually just sit at an angle like that.
When obviously the aircraft's not pressurized.
Yeah. You can. I mean, if you're up there, you can move the elevators up and down by hand. So we've got this one. The APU normally sits in this bay here, the auxiliary power unit. Yeah. But it's been removed from this aircraft. It normally sits in there. That's the exhaust for it, and the intake for it's on the other side. Okay. And obviously that's quite a standard thing across all modern liners now. This one was especially important because the RJX differed from the RJ and it had air start rather than electric start. It was one of the main changes for the aircraft. So the APU air became quite an important thing to make sure the aircraft could be started. Okay. I can't remember the reasons why we changed from electric to air start, but that was one of the things about the RJX. Was air start rather than. So if you had an APU failure,
you'd have to get
plug in a ground
GPU somewhere.
On the side, you can see there's an access door for
Yeah. An air ram would have to be brought in to start the engines then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Another thing. A lot of this aircraft is not quite into my aviation, but all this is quite new, especially the RJX.
The basic aircraft, the rest of the aircraft is exactly the same as the RJ and the 146 for that matter. External, apart from the engines on the RJX, which are noticeably different, it's identical. The landing gear, the wing structure is all exactly the same on the 146 and the RJ as it is on this.
Yeah.
This landing gear is absolutely standard for the aircraft. The keen eyed amongst you, we've got, this is just landing gear that keeps it from falling down almost. It's not a production standard landing gear by any means, but they're still quite beefy brakes on it,
And is that the correct angle of the strut?
Yeah. When it's weight off wheels, that kind of drops down, makes for really soft landings.
So you've actually got like a huge amount of travel then.
Yeah, there is, and it has to absorb. Most of it's absorbed in the shock absorber that you can see there.
Because even that shock absorber, you would expect it to be straight, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and that's it. And it's also the way when it retracts, this bit folds up, and then the whole lot goes in, and the door's attached to it. So there's no other door. It's just this.
It's a huge landing gear door.
Yeah, and it's a single piece, that just goes straight up. So but the brakes, this has brake fans as well to keep them cool.
Yeah.
Because there's no thrust reverse, the brakes are used, a lot more, because that's the way of stopping it, and it does stop really, really well. Because it does have an anti-skid system as well, so it does stop quite quickly.
Yeah, I was going to say you got the beacon working.
Yeah, we got the beacon working. Yeah.
I am flicking through the chat, guys. If you are watching, ladies and gents, and you've got any questions that you'd like us to put to Derek, just get them in the chat sort of in the next minute or two, and we'll ask them at the end, guys.
It's funny because on airliners, sort of like the 320s and 73s, the beacon underneath would have been a lot more visible, wouldn't it? Because they're a lot higher up. This is really low down compared.
There's one on top as well. So. But yeah, I mean, you can see underneath here. One of the big things about the one RJ and 146 is the flaps, because the flaps are quite big and massive, and they come quite a long way down and up, and it makes the aircraft.
Yeah, you can see the travel there, can't you? The groove for it.
Yeah, then that's the little doors, the plastic doors on it that stop the air from flowing around inside, and they are big, and they come down quite a long way. When they're deployed, the tip is close to the windows. And they slow the air, so it means that the approach speeds on this airplane are really, really low.
What are you looking at roughly?
I've seen
120, 130?
No, less than that, 110.
Less than 120?
Yeah. So, and it's one of the reasons why it can stop so quickly. Obviously, it depends on the weight, but you can stop quickly. It's got the lift dump on the top of the wings and these hefty brakes. Yeah. So it can stop. That's why it could go into London City, because it can stop really, really quickly.
Yeah.
Because of the lower the speeds, the better it is.
And obviously, it's a huge difference with London City, isn't it? With the angle of approach.
Yeah, I mean, this was the first. The 146 was the first jet that went into London City a long time ago in the late 80s, and that was one of the reasons that, because of the air brake, it means that you can go down a steep approach properly without the aeroplane constantly accelerating.
So I think it's only the A318, isn't it? That's got the steep approach mode to get in there.
Yeah, there was a couple of mods that are in the flight deck for steep approach to stop the ground proximity warning system going off because of the steeper approach. And we used to do the testing at Woodford, where we had different approach angles that we could test depending on the conditions of the airplane. So yeah. It's 5.5 degrees, I think, at London City, but we tested up to 7.5 degrees. As a what they call an abuse case to simulate a tailwind.
Yeah.
It looks like you're just about to fly over the runway before you go down. It does look really, really steep.
Were any of these? I'm just thinking now. Were any of these maybe took on a military? Because you'd think with the option to have the air brakes out during approach would make it like the perfect sort of candidate for tactical approaches and stuff like that.
Well, the RAF are using, currently got 4, although I believe they're up for sale at the moment. They had two 146 that were with the 32 Squadron, the Royal Flight, for a long time, and have been since the late mid-80s, or in fact before that even, and still got them. But there was 2 146s that they bought recently, which have got a freight door, which they do use for exactly that,
right.
and turn around tactical areas. Although I believe that they're getting rid of them as well. So,
yeah, probably getting
ex-freighters. So
getting on a bit now.
The big door at the back. So.
Amazing. We can see the engine doors are open as well on this one. So what's going on with this? Is it just for viewing, or are you doing some work? Or?
No, we keep this as clean and nice and neat as we possibly can. The doors are there to show everybody just what it looks like inside. These engines were turned out to be unique in the end, the AS977 for the RJX, although I believe a version of it's used on some business jets now. But yeah, that's it as it is. You can see anything painted orange is generally instrumentation, so there's measuring of all, because it was a test aircraft, we were measuring temperatures, we were measuring pressures all over the engine, because it was a pretty new engine when we had it fitted. So there was lots of things that we had to test on the engine itself. You can see inside, these are the cowl doors. So I don't know if you can see up in here, I don't know if you can come around this way. That's where, that's where the air start goes in there. You can see all the pipe work for the bleed air. That's the hot air that goes for the anti-ice. There's normally you'd have in here would be the hydraulic pump would normally sit in here, but because it's an RJ item that's been removed because it's an expensive spare part, so that's been taken out. These are all fuel pumps, fuel system, hydraulics, engine indications, all sorts of things going on in there.
So also it's very rare that you just get to see inside something like this. Such a huge asset for the park.
It is, yes. To actually keep it preserved with the engines intact is quite unusual.
Yeah.
So we're grateful to Allied Signal for letting us keep them, or when it arrived here, let us keep them, because they're often removed.
A couple of questions in the chat coming through asking, firstly, what's its top speed, and also what's the range like on it?
The range was pretty much, it was slightly better than the RJ's range. So you're talking about,
back of it,
yeah, we were talking about something like we tended, because it was a test engine, we tended to talk about in terms of endurance rather than range, because it was about 4 hours. So you're talking about a couple of thousand miles. But top speed wise, this was a Mach 0.73 maximum speed that we used on it. But being a test aircraft, we went out to Mach 0.8 for this. For some of the flutter trials that we did on this.
And how did it perform on that?
It was absolutely fine. It's quite rough. It needs quite a steep angle to make it go that fast, because one of the disadvantages of having the thicker wing, which provides the low speed, is it's not very good at going at high speed.
Yeah.
So therefore, to make it go at high speed, you kind of have to
really point
it down the way. Yeah. But yeah, we went out to 0.8 Mach on it. For some of the testing.
Someone's saying Debonair was the best livery of the 146 in their opinion.
Debonair, is that now? Yes, they were the same as an airline called Discovery, which I can remember. They went to Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not one I've heard of, I'll be honest.
No, that was, you're talking, Debonair were from the 90s, I would have thought.
How loud is it? Is another question.
How loud is it? Strangely enough, this made a very different noise from the 146 was known as for its quietness, whereas this was actually slightly louder than the 146, which is a bit embarrassing. But it was still compared to modern, older airlines, it's still pretty quiet. Although it's been a while since it was been run.
So having a quick flight for last chance to get some questions in, ladies and gents. Before we wrap up, but is there anything else you'd like to say about what you've been working on, or what the future of what you're working on is?
What we're going to try and do is, apart from the power that we mentioned before, we want to try and tidy up the paintwork, because it's starting to look, a little bit tired in places. So underneath it's not too bad, but on the top it's starting to flake a little bit. So that's our next major job, is to try and get the paintwork looking. It's never going to be beautiful and perfect like it was when it first flew, but we're going to try and do our best to to repair as much as possible.
Yeah.
You know.
Amazing.
Nice to see the weather radar as well.
Yeah, let's go and have a look at that. Yeah, definitely.
It's very rare you see them behind the nose.
Yeah,
cone.
that was a fairly recent addition.
Just in there, you got things like Autopilot, have you, and everything?
That's where all the computers live, all
for
the
that.
avionics and the electrics. That's where they're all in there.
Right,
You can stick that in there. Yeah, that's where all the electrical power supplies go, and where all the computers are. If you were, I don't know if you can, but if you go further in and then look backwards, that's where all the computers are. If you go. Yeah, you'll see there's a big rack in front of you where all the autopilot computer, flight guidance, and and all the various avionics bits and pieces are.
It's like the commentary tower studio.
So the various probes on the thing, the airplane has the pitot probes, angle of attack indication. That's contributes to the stall warning system.
Is that what that is? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and that moves up and down, so it reaches a certain angle.
So it's based on the angle of attack, is it, of the aircraft?
Right, yeah. So it moves up, and then at a certain angle it'll trigger the stick shaker.
Yeah.
And then further up it'll trigger the stick pusher, which takes it
Because
away
that's
from
the thing that I've seen on a lot of flight sims, that they think the stick shaker is actually the aircraft stalling. That's your very last step before you're stalling.
The
Isn't
shaker
it?
is basically, and it's unmistakable. You notice it. You know, you're
Yeah.
not gonna not notice it. It's quite a violent. You can hear it down the cabin.
Yeah.
And then if you persist in slowing the airplane down, it'll reach a certain angle, and the pusher will push the stick forward.
So there is some sort of auto recovery in the aircraft for that.
Yeah, and then there's lights and flashing things.
And what sort of protection is there against sort of pitot freezing and stuff like that for that?
These are all heated. These are
Okay.
all heated, yeah, in the air normally. They're slightly discoloured because they're heated. And then that's a temperature probe,
Okay.
which is heated as well, oddly enough. Because what can happen is that if ice can gather around here, which obviously means that the temperature sensed is not going to be accurate.
And then the aircraft's not getting reliable data, and then will the autopilot shut off like the Airbus? Or
No, it won't do on this airplane, but it will give false information, so that things like the thrust management on this, the flight guidance computer, we'll be getting the wrong information. Yeah, so it won't cause sort of. It's not quite as disastrous as it would be on an Airbus, but it's not good.
yeah. And here we are. So something you will not see very often, ladies and gents, weather radar.
Yeah, that's the weather radar scanner. That's the because it's what they call gyro, so it moves at that sort of thing. But when the airplane turns, it still moves like that. It doesn't move with the aircraft.
Okay.
So it's gyro stabilized. That's the box that generates all the waves, comes from inside. It's in the avionics bay, and this is what we call the wave guide. That takes actually the little microwaves.
So how does this work then? So this obviously fires out a signal.
Yep.
And then does that react with any sort of moisture in the air, or?
It's actually, effectively, droplets is what it picks up, and then you can go out to about 300 miles with this. So,
and then based on the density of the droplets would then show up as
it shows up
cell?
as a different colour. So the worst is, depending on the radar, but the worst is normally the red or white. Yeah. And it can flash white as well if it picks up turbulence, and it picks up turbulence with a kind of a Doppler effect. Generally red and yellow is to be avoided all the time. Green, kind of at your peril, but anywhere else is okay. You know.
We'll have a quick walk around the other side just so we see the front of this dish, guys. Stand by. Here it is.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much wrapping up the full walk around. Derek, appreciate it, mate. We learnt loads today.
Okay.
Definitely, it's been great. This is here, ladies and gentlemen, at the runway visitor part for you to come and view. If people want to come down, have a look on board, how's it work? When is it open?
It's probably be open for the rest of the day till sort of late afternoon. So if you want to come through, you can walk through the aircraft.
And on a regular day, is it open or?
Regular day, it will be just the forward part of the fuselage that's open. But sometimes we open the rest of it up, but it's open most days at the viewing park. Yeah.
Amazing. Derek, thank you very much for your time, mate. I won't shake your hand, but Appreciate it. There you go, ladies and gents. Learned loads today. Derek, who's involved in the team here at the RJX at the Runway Visitor Park. Hope you enjoyed that, guys, that little walk around. There you go. Thank you, mate.
Right,
Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. There you have it. How good's that?
Amazing.
That's it's an aircraft that I didn't really know much about in the beginning as well. Obviously, you all know that I do a lot of flight sim stuff behind the scenes, but this isn't an aircraft that I've really flown that much or looked into. So I certainly learned a lot as well today. I hope you did as well. We're going to wrap it up there, ladies and gents, because we've got a little bit of a meeting that we need to go to now. But I hope you enjoyed it. What we'll probably do is we'll get like an edited version of this up on the page, so keep an eye on Facebook. If you've joined late, then by all means check out the edited version, which we'll probably get up in the next couple of days, 2 or 3 days, something like that, guys. So and we'll be back for another big show on Sunday. Brown Bill, are you live in the week at any point?
Probably Friday maybe, but
because we do potentially have the Aer Lingus coming in on Friday.
Aer Lingus on Saturday. Hainan on Friday, so I'll catch one of them at least.
So we may even switch the live show to Saturday. We will see. Yeah. We'll let you know. Keep an eye on the Facebook page. Ladies and gents, thank you very much for tuning in. As always, we've been Airliners Live, Avro RJX at the Runway Visitor Park. We'll see you next week. Take care. Ta-ra.